Welcome everybody. I'm Jeffrey Reynolds and I'm in my new shop I like to call Reynolds Runabouts. My next project is a 1959 Lake & Sea 18-foot Saratoga, of which there are only 2 known to exist of the 25 that may have been built in Traverse City, Michigan in 1959 by the Parsons Corporation. This Lake & Sea Runabout will undergo a full restoration from upholstery to chrome to paint to the trailer. The boat experienced a lot of time outdoors in the last decade, so a lot of cracking of the deck and deterioration of the gauges and other parts of the fiberglass body are evident. And I'm going to take you through that whole process from the day we brought it into the shop to the day it leaves. So let's get started on looking at the boat as it is right now before we send the chrome off to the platers. Like many fiberglass boats, each brand had its own logo, and that's unique. This is the Lake & Sea dashboard plate. This will need a full restoration. Like the other pieces on the boat that you'll see, largely made up of chrome and pot metal, which is very hard for platers to work with, but well worth it when it's completed. Unique to the 18-foot Saratoga, the windshield corners will also need a lot of work at the platers. There's 2 of those. Thankfully, we have both. Lake & Sea almost exclusively use the Allen Jervis company for its step pads. There are 2 of those. Both will be restored from the pot metal. Like the step pads, the company also used Allen Jervis for its rear line cleats, as well as the bow cleat. This is the bow cleat, which is a little bit larger than the side line cleats. The company also used Allen Jervis for its front deck line chocks. There's 2 of those that'll be restored. The company did not use Allen Jervis hardware exclusively on all of its boats. Here is an example of where they used the Atwood brand bow light. This is the only model, other than the Grand Traverse 18-foot cruiser, of which none have been found, that utilized a handle on the Atwood light from 1959. At the stern of the boat, they also used Atwood for its stern pole light. While not standard on this boat or any of the Lake & Sea models, this dual trumpet air horn will be restored or replaced so that it also will be included in the restoration. These types of hardware were added either by the owner or at the marina once the boat had been purchased. Like many outboard driven boats from the 50s and 60s, they were steered via lines or plastic coated wire. These are the pulleys that were used on the Lake & Sea boats to run the line out of the boat into the outboard motor. Both of these are out of brass and should be a lot easier to restore. Lake & Sea also used Atwood for its rear tow eyes as well as the bow eye. Many Lake & Sea deluxe models include the Detroit Marine Engineering steering wheel, which are only seen on a few runabouts from the era, including Aerocraft. The acrylic suspended silver flecks that made it shine in the sun when it was new, not so much now. These wheels are very hard to find, especially the metal insert, which are always gone or sun faded or cracked. This will be restored here in my shop since I'm familiar with some steering wheel repair, and we should be able to bring it back to like new condition. The steering wheel is held by an adjustable Vollrath brand steering column. This is made out of chrome and also can be polished. It won't be sent to the chromer. This restoration will include an aquameter speedometer, a restored compass, possibly a portable light, and then a navigation switch. The dash also is missing its iconic silver mylar film that was on most deluxe models of the Lake and Seas. Like others, it all fell off due to age. But I have found a vendor that makes something very close that will be used in the restoration of this boat after the holes on the dashboard where their old radio was will be filled in. These are some of the items that were already removed from the boat when I purchased it, and include the Lake and Sea badges that went on each side of the boat. Those are pot metal and also be restored. The gauges, the speedometer, and the compass. The bezels or the outside ring will be restored at the chrome shop, and then I will source a new speedometer to replace this very deteriorated original, and I will clean up the compass and reuse that. This is what's left of the dash mylar. It used to be silver. The underlining fabric was white vinyl and stuck on, and this is what was left. Here's some other pieces that belong to the seats. I'll go into a little bit about the folding seats. These were used for the lines around the inside of the boat for the steering cable. These are rare Wilcox Crittenden sailboat vangs that were used by the Lake and Sea Company to make hinges, which didn't work out real well, and I'll point that out in future videos. Here's the original manufacturer's serial number plate. And in this boat, even though they were equipped with original flag staffs for the bow light, this boat did not include it. I was able to find one of these on eBay and purchase it. This will be added to the boat's current hardware. One of the pieces of hardware that is the hardest to replace on a Lake and Sea boat is the custom extruded fender rail, or some cases people call them bumpers. This was made exclusively for Lake and Sea and cannot be sourced now except for one manufacturer west of Duluth, Minnesota. That will be the source that I will use to have new pieces extruded for the restoration of this boat. As you can see, the transom plate or protector has been replaced with a new thick piece of aluminum, and that will be reused in this restoration. Like many vintage runabouts from the era, the original upholstery has not survived or has not fared well due to weather, use, and sun damage. This is the original rear seat cushion. It was the only one retained by the owner when he had, the past owner, when he had the seats redone in more of just a simple plain pattern. The new seats will be remanufactured using this pattern throughout. Now, this boat would have been equipped with a period correct 1959 50 horse or maybe 250 horses because it was rated for 100 horsepower. The motor that came with the boat when we bought it in 2021 came with a 1971 Mercury Merc 800, which is an 80 horse motor that will push this boat along quite nicely, and it will be restored and used for the restoration, along with a trim kit that will allow the owner to lift the motor safely from the front cockpit, much like the trim kits you see today on inboard outboards and modern outboards. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you will hit the subscribe button and like, and hope to see you soon as we start the restoration of this beautiful 1959 18-foot Lake and Sea Saratoga. Again, one of only two exist that we know of. Take care.